Well, I guess I'm saying good morning inside of this video. What's actually good? My name is Sid Jackson, and guys, yesterday wasn't so good. So today's Saturday, August 1st, and it was actually supposed to be the end of... Dakota, what are you doing? So it's actually supposed to be the end of my mini cut, and it was supposed to be a nice little refeed day, but yesterday kind of turned into a refeed day instead. But honestly, I'd say it was more so just a complete collapse. So I went to Publix to get some groceries. I wanted to get some stuff for dinner, and I walk into the store, and at the very front next to the deli they had a lemon display, and it was a display of all these different types of lemon foods. If you've got Publix where you live, maybe you've seen the seasonal cookies that they do. They're Meyer lemon cookies. And so of course they're on the table, and I got some because I was thinking to myself, moderation is key. I've got self-control. I'm gonna have one here and there. But that's what my mindset was. So I put the cookies in the cart. It's one of the first things I put in the cart, and then I go on shopping. And so I go to checkout, and the guy who's bagging up my groceries says something to me about the cookies. He goes, "Hey, have you ever had these lemon cookies before? They're amazing." And I said, "Of course, they're some of the best." And he just kind of went on, and at that point, now I'm thinking about these lemon cookies in a way that I really didn't want to be thinking about these lemon cookies. So I get back to my house, and it already was a bad situation because I'm at the grocery store hungry, and I opt to make a big salad, because I've been on a cut, I've been eating for volume lately, so I opt to make a big salad. And so I finish my salad, and then I think, you know what, I'm gonna have one cookie. And so one cookie turns into 2, turns into 7, and I ate the entire container of cookies, all of them. I think it was like 13 or 14 cookies. Just egregious. The satisfaction I got from that was so fleeting, because even as I got to those last 2 or 3 cookies, I was already not feeling good. And then I spent 2 or 3 hours just kind of like, ugh. There's a reason I try to avoid doing stuff like that, and there's a reason I try to avoid sugar. There's a chemical reaction that goes on in our brains where dopamine is released when we consume sugar, and that's what makes sugar so highly addictive. It's a very similar chemical process as far as the neurotransmitters that are released when you take, drugs, heroin, opiates. So sugar is highly addictive, and there's a reason that when you eat something sweet, you have a tendency to just keep on going. And that's me, that's me. That's why I try to avoid sugar as often as I can, because when I eat something with sugar in it, I always want more. And it's so hard for me sometimes to control myself. But I digress. So to kind of bounce back, I'm certainly not one to punish myself after I fall off the diet, and that's not my intention for today. But I am gonna hit a deficit today. Instead of doing the 2,700 refeed, I'm actually going to go back down to 2,000. I certainly consumed enough calories yesterday to allow me to do that. I stopped tracking around 3,400, and then I ate a little bit more. If I had to guess, probably up around 4,000 calories yesterday. Yikes. So today we're going to go for 2,000, but today I'm really going to optimize for volume. So that's kind of the purpose of this video. I wanted to do a full day of eating for volume and show you guys some of the most high volume, high nutrition, low energy dense foods that I like to eat on a regular basis, and show you how consuming these foods, these low energy dense foods, can make eating in a caloric deficit that much easier. So right now it's about 7:15 in the morning. I'm gonna finish having a cup of coffee. Then I'm gonna take these dogs for a nice long walk. How's that sound, Dakota? Maxers, boys? Gonna take these guys for a nice long walk before it gets too hot. And then I'll take you guys through the rest of the day. Definitely going to be fasting. I normally like to fast till about 12 or 1. The earlier I get up, the earlier I tend to break the fast, but considering the just egregious amount of calories I consumed yesterday, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have no problem fasting until maybe even 2 or 3. I'm going to go for a walk, and then I'm actually going to go back to my house. I'm at my girlfriend's house right now, and I'm going to get a workout in. I missed my Monday workout because I had a really early case that was about an hour away, so I had to basically didn't have time to work out Monday, so I pushed all my workouts back one day. So I'm hitting my Friday workout today, but I'm gonna get a little walk in first, get some steps going. Again, optimizing for volume today, focusing on low energy dense, high nutrient dense foods, and I'll take you guys with me. All right, just got back out of La Cribo, and I'm still fasted. I'm probably gonna work out here in a second, but the boys are actually ready to break the fast. So Max is actually on a cut right now. This is his food. And then Dakota is actually trying to bulk up. So, sit, stay. Good boy. Come here, Dakota. Sit. Good boy, stay. There you go, good boys.
Close my eyes and a calm descends on me. Take me with you. We soar to infinity. We're going.
So I've got some work I need to get done this morning. I'm gonna make another cup of coffee and maybe grind for like an hour or two. It's about 11:45, so I'm hoping to break the fast. You know, obviously the later the better, but we'll see how I'm feeling. Probably have a sparkling water in a bit, and yeah, then we'll look to break the fast in another couple hours or so. But until then, insane video, amazing style video, great video. So we're pushing 2 o'clock and I'm ready to break the fast. So one of my go-to meals for breaking the fast as of late has been, I guess it's kind of like a parfait. I like to eat some fat-free Greek yogurt. I think that's a great low energy dense food because you can eat a pretty decent volume of it for only a couple hundred calories. It's also high in protein. So I mix in with that some collagen protein powder just to get the protein up even more. And then I like to top it off with like a Fiber One. So I have like the store brand equivalent, but it's basically Fiber One cereal. Because anytime you eat something that's rich in fiber, that fiber has a tendency to expand in your stomach and it just makes you feel that much more satiated and satisfied. And then I also will mix in 1 pack of oats and drizzle it with a little bit of honey. The oats do kind of the same thing as the cereal. They expand, but it's, you know, maple brown sugar oatmeal, so it adds a little bit more flavor to the plain flavored yogurt as well. So that's what I'm going to whip up. It's kind of a lazy afternoon. Like I said, it's about 2 o'clock. I'm pretty much done with all the work I had for the day. Girlfriend is on call, so won't see her until tomorrow morning. So I guess we're just going to kind of be lazy and chill. Maybe put a movie on or something. Who knows? Movie in the middle of the day. Crazy times we're living in. That's just quarantine life. All right, and as I said, this has been one of my favorite meals for breaking the fast as of late. I'm gonna get 2 servings of this fat-free Greek yogurt, and then I'm gonna mix in 2 scoops of the collagen protein. So I tend to favor collagen protein for not just recipes like this with yogurt, but also for my protein oats, because I find it has a much smoother consistency once it's incorporated with different types of foods. Gotta throw some oats in there. I like oatmeal, but I mostly throw this in there just for some added flavor. Makes it really nice. I've tried doing it where I let the oats kind of soak in the yogurt for a while. I don't like the texture quite as much. And then for that crunch, we're gonna put in that Fiber One cereal. And again, this is just to make this a little bit more filling and satisfying so that we can, you know, go a little longer between meals. You've got to go with the local honey. They say that local honey is good for allergies, I guess because of the flowers that the bees pollinate when they're making their honey. You can see I've had this honey in there for a little while. It's starting to crystallize a bit. That stuff is so fire. Gotta love just a nice chunk of crystallized honey. Look at that. You natch. Pushing 4 o'clock. I'm gonna go for meal number 2. I'm just gonna do a nice big salad. If you eat an entire container, you'll see how much it is. An entire container of spring mix is like 35 calories. If you do that with some tuna or some chicken, some lean protein, you end up getting a meal that's a high volume, but also pretty satiating. And I like to pair it with some low-fat dressings. I've got a few that I like to choose from. Put a little bit of beets on top as well. Show you guys what that looks like when it's done. So like I said, you can really go with any kind of lean protein source that you want. I have been favoring the tuna lately, pretty much just because it's convenient. You get about 40 grams of protein in a single pouch, which is great. I'm going with a classic Catalina. It's a low-calorie dressing. Don't ask me what's in a classic Catalina because I honestly have no idea. It's a little bit sweet, and I enjoy it, and so I put it in there. I also like to put a little bit of sriracha. I find a little bit of spice helps to suppress my appetite a bit. And then I just put a small splash of vinegar on there, and that's really just to give the seasoning a little something extra to stick to. And I'm just going with some garlic, salt, and a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. And then just for a little bit of crunch, I'm a big texture guy, if you couldn't tell. Put a little bit of crispy beets on top.
And no precipitation, we're about a half inch behind, correction, a half inch ahead.
So I do want to eat just a little bit more. I kind of got the urge to eat something a little sweet. Caramel Rice Crisps. This is a great high volume snack. It's nice to get something a little bit sweet, and this is going to do it for meal number 2. And then I'll check back in with you guys when it's time for dinner.
Let me just collect another little boy's head or another dinosaur.
So it's about 5:15. I'm going to go ahead and start getting dinner prepped. I'm actually going to do a spaghetti squash with a bolognese, but I'm going to use ground turkey breast. So I've got a nice lean protein source and a very low energy dense carb substitute in the spaghetti squash. When you guys see the amount of volume that I'm able to eat for roughly 150 calories, you're not gonna believe it. So if you've never had spaghetti squash, you're looking to cut some weight, you like pasta, you're looking for a good alternative, this is the one. This is it. This is literally, as far as high volume foods go, this is probably my number 1. I love to eat spaghetti squash in lieu of pasta because it satisfies that craving, but it's just like a superfood to me. I love it. So I'm gonna get that going. Usually takes about an hour to cook the squash, so I'm gonna get that prepped and in the oven, and then actually need to run to the store and grab a little something for later. Check back in with you guys then. Insane style videos as well. All right, just a little pro tip for you guys. Make sure you're sharpening your knives every time you use them. One of the most dangerous things in the kitchen is a dull knife. So I'm gonna go ahead and split these spaghetti squash and just use the back of a spoon to scrape out the seeds. And then just give them a quick spray. I like to use the coconut oil, and then I season these up with some garlic salt, as you can see, and then I'll finish it off with a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper. Then you want to turn them down so that the skin side is up. I'm just kind of rearranging these here so they're spaced a little more evenly. You're going to bake them in a 400-degree oven for about 1 hour. In the meantime, we're going to get the sauce going. I've just got, your basic tomato basil sauce, just a jarred sauce. I'm going to heat that up on medium heat. Make sure you put the lid on. And then I'm going to sear up my ground turkey breast. Something I like to do is get a good sear on both sides before I go and break up the turkey in the pan. And that's not just turkey, it's ground beef, any kind of minced meat. That's a tactic I like to use. Get a little more caramelization. Did I say that right? Caramelization. Sorry about that. Then we're gonna season that with garlic salt, black pepper, and then some Italian seasonings. Just let all that kind of mingle together in the pan. So once the squash comes out of the oven, it is super important to let it cool. It is very, very hot at this point. So once it's cooled, you're gonna take a fork and you're just gonna scrape the flesh away from the skin. As long as you baked it long enough, it should come away from the skin pretty easily, and you'll see it looks a lot like spaghetti. A very thin spaghetti, more of, I guess, like an angel hair pasta. And I'm just gonna weigh out 500 grams of the spaghetti squash. As you can see, I didn't really let it cool long enough. I'm burning my hands here, but I was hungry and I was ready to eat. So I'm scraping the Then I'm gonna weigh out 8 ounces of the cooked turkey breast, and since I'm weighing it cooked, I'm also tracking it cooked. There are nutrition facts specific to a cooked version of this ground turkey breast. Always wanna make sure you make that distinction. All right, then I'm gonna top it off with 1 cup of sauce. It's about 250 grams. Normally, I would like to let the meat kind of simmer in the sauce and absorb some of those flavors. But when I'm on a cut, just for tracking purposes, it's way easier to just cook them separately so that you can weigh them separately. Last thing I'm gonna do is just top it off with a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese. You know, it obviously tastes good and it's pretty aesthetic. Look at that. Boom. That's a fab bowl of food. All right, that's gonna do it for meal number 3. I am super full right now. Spaghetti squash has been a real game changer for me on a cut, just because you can eat so much of it, and you don't just have to use a red sauce. You can literally eat it with anything. It's fire. So I'm gonna have a little bit of dessert, probably kind of right before bed. It is almost 7 o'clock right now. Probably start winding down like 8:39. I usually like to eat something sweet before bed. I usually go with some fruit, nothing crazy. What is going on, man? All right, it's a little after 8. It's much cooler outside now than it was earlier, so I'm gonna take the dogs for another walk. Another thing I like to do following a higher calorie day is to increase my step count a little bit. Normally I go for 10,000. Today I'm on pace to hit around 15,000. So I think that, coupled with the 2,000 calories, obviously eating very high volume to keep me nice and full. But if I did cause any damage yesterday, I think today negates it for the most part. But I'll check in you guys for my last meal when I get back from this walk with these boys. You boys wanna go for a walk? You wanna go for a walk? So something that a lot of people don't realize is that walking is actually a form of cardio. It's a low intensity form, and the benefit of focusing on low intensity cardio, increasing your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is that it's not going to spike your appetite the same way high intensity stuff would. So here you can see I'm cutting up an entire carton of strawberries. Strawberries are probably the most low energy dense fruit, definitely the most low energy dense of the berries. And I like to sprinkle it with just a little bit of Splenda. This part is obviously optional, but I do like the added sweetness that it gives me. And this has been my go-to dessert for really the last 3 months now. All right, guys, so that is gonna wrap up this full day of eating, optimizing for volume, focusing on those low energy dense foods so that we can get the most food for the smallest amount of calories. So I ended the day just over 2,000, really nailed it. I think I finished the day with around 15,000 steps. So definitely a good way to make up for the day that I had yesterday where I went well over my calories, despite having, a good total daily expenditure. Again, I'm not the kind of person that likes to punish myself when I mess up on my diet. It's inevitable, it's part of the process, everybody does it. But I do like to do just a little bit extra, the next day, just to kind of get my mindset back in the right place so that I can continue to move forward. So along with making smart choices, choosing low energy dense foods that are high in nutrients that are going to fill you up and leave you feeling satisfied. When the goal is fat loss, it's also super, super important to make sure you get really locked in on your tracking. So if you're new to tracking, you've never weighed your food before, I've actually pieced together a free training and I would love to send it your way. Just click the link below and I'll give you access to that right away. All right, guys, gonna go ahead and end the video here. My name is Sid Jackson and I'll see you in the next one. Let's.